From the mountains of Utah to the East Bay of Northern California, this is the Green and Gold Podcast. Welcome everyone, my name is Adam Ames. I am the curator here at the unofficial Oakland Athletics YouTube channel. In this podcast, we will attempt to discuss the team from all vantage points and all eras. With me for this ride is my tag team partner, lifelong friend and A's fanatic, Michael Go.
How's it going, Adam? Pretty good to be here. I'm looking forward to talking some Ames baseball with you tonight.
2 years in a row in the Coliseum, Sean Manaea, Mike Fiers. I mean, that's historic stuff at the Oakland Coliseum.
Yeah, it's great stuff. I always love. How can you not love watching a no-hitter in progress? It's just special. To me, it's just you get into the game. Maybe you tune in at the beginning, or maybe you tune in the fifth inning, and then you see that whoever's pitching hasn't given up a hit yet. It's just you don't see that in any other sport. And baseball, when your team does it, anybody does it, especially Fiers too. The way he's been struggling so much in the starts before that no-hitter, giving up home run after home run so early in the game. See him throw that no-hitter, that's pretty special.
I love watching no-hitters, especially if you can go from the first inning all the way to the end. The story that it tells throughout those 9 innings, the crescendo and the drama that it creates. One play, either way, can mean a no-hitter or it can mean another blowout. You just never know. And that is just one of the most beautiful things about baseball. And another aspect to a no-hitter is if you're the team being no-hit, and, maybe in the situation, maybe it's a close game, 1-0, 2-0, you're hoping your team wins. But if it's kind of a blowout and you really don't think your team's going to win, you end up rooting for the opposing pitcher. A no-hitter is not something that happens every day. It's exciting, and you want to witness history in some cases. So, no-hitters are fantastic. So let me see if I have my games right. So in that 4-game span, the A's went walk-off, no-hitter, walk-off, walk-off. So right there, doesn't that just show them how to win? Either you no-hit the team or you walk them off. It's easy.
You know as well as I do that early this season, I think they're still trying to find their footing, and we've seen the good, we've seen the bad. Hopefully we can find a balance and get them consistent and get them over 500 first of all, and then maybe have some business getting up to the Astros.
Well, it's a long way to Houston, but, it's only the middle part of May. So, I think there's still some time left to catch those boys in Texas. So there was the Ramon Laureano walk-off, where he blooped one over the second baseman's head in between the first baseman and the right fielder. Well, the funny thing about baseball, funny thing about this game is something very similar happened to Arizona. When Marte did this, it was almost the same thing. It was quite extraordinary, and just a couple of days apart. Baseball is crazy.
Yeah, that is baseball. Isn't it weird? Like we said earlier, how anything can happen in this baseball, and there are no two things are exactly the same, but yet when it does happen, it's still unique. It's what makes this game so cool.
I need to make a disclaimer here. I am not one to say that whatever is happening now is the greatest thing of all time. I have a mindset of have a player play more than one season, play more than one game, play more than one series before we make him the greatest of all time. So having said that, is Ramon Laureano, is he the most electric guy in center field that we have seen?
That's a tough question, right? Because, gosh, how many great outfielders have we seen with the A's? As recently as my personal favorite, Josh Reddick in right field, Spider-Man himself. He had a heck of an arm, too. So there was him. Coco made some great plays in the outfield, despite him having a subpar arm. Jermaine Dye in right field in recent memory. Great outfielder. But... yeah, you're right. Laureano and the plays that he made, just amazing. Just one of those things, again, you don't see those often, if at all, if ever. The most recent I can recall is probably Yoenis Cespedes' play against the Angels. It's just one of those jaw-dropping type of plays where you kind of have to rewind and ask yourself, did I just see what I just saw?
Yeah, A's fans everywhere are doing their best Al Michaels impersonation when he made that call with the Packers and the Vikings.
Lays it up for Freeman, and it's incomplete. Or did he make the catch at the 15? Yes. What are they going to rule it? He caught it? Touchdown. He did what?
Most of the time when Laureano goes back on a play, that's what you're going to say. That's what you're going to end up saying. Like, how in the world did he do that?
Am I glad to see him out there in center field? Because for so many years we've looked for that guy, right? I mentioned those outfielders before. They were in right field most of the time. But center field has been kind of a bit of a hole for the A's for a long time. To see somebody out there doing those kind of things, it's really encouraging to see.
For our older viewers, we're not going to disregard what guys like Dwayne Murphy and Bill North did. Not in the least. It was just, we're talking about the ones that we've personally seen. Yeah, we can look at highlights. We can look at Baseball Reference. We can look at some of these other things. But to be there in the moment and to see these things happen, it's just different. You know, you can say that about any player. You know, the older guys who actually saw Reggie Jackson hit those home runs or saw Catfish Hunter throw that perfect game. In terms of Oakland center fielders, we have to go by what we have only seen. I mean, I know Dwayne Murphy was an awesome center fielder, and I know that Bill North was an awesome center fielder.
Of course, pitchers need defensive support, and got it from baseball's flashiest young outfield. Dwayne Murphy in center.
Bill North's fine running catch continues to nullify Los Angeles' efforts.
Both you and I, we respect history so much, and it's one of the things that we love most about this game. The old players of the past, Clemente, they were incredible players, and we have highlights to go by to recognize that. It's an offshoot of today's world where we have the social media and the internet. Of course, you're right, we can only go by what we ourselves has personally seen live, but we can appreciate it all nonetheless.
We saw Dave Henderson. It was weird because if you looked at Dave Henderson, you wouldn't think he was a center fielder because he was so huge.
Henderson seemed to be everywhere, closing down the alleys, and once again proving that his acquisition by Oakland was a stroke of genius.
How does Eric Burns fit into that with you? I mean, when you talk about center fielders who made crazy plays, and I know he played all over the outfield, but if I remember right, he was primarily center fielder. I mean, the one magnificent catch that he made was as a left fielder, the one where he dove into the bullpen, and he got up and smiled at Eric Chavez, and he couldn't even believe that he made the play.
Yeah, Burnsy was a hustler, and I think that's one of the things that endeared him most to the fans, is that just that all-out hustle and fire he played with. Because looking at him and the way he moved and his demeanor, you don't think five-tool, first-class athlete, but he made up with that with such desire out there in the field that you just can't help but root for the guy.
So let's go from the playing field up into the broadcast booth, or in this case, up into the third deck of the Coliseum, and let's talk about Dallas Braden. He has been doing more on the broadcast side of things, not just being the third man on the field. He was up in the booth a couple of times running solo with Kuiper while Fosse was on the radio. Some people really, really don't like Dallas Braden, and I can totally understand why they don't. But me personally, I think he's a fantastic color analyst. He knows the game. He understands it. He can probably convey what's going on, and he does so with a panache that is totally contrasted against what Ray Fosse is. And I can see that, hey, I don't want Braden because he's a loudmouth, he's a dope, he's an attention seeker, he's all these things, but I think he brings an aura of excitement to A's games that, you know, is good for the broadcast.
Yeah, what a great term, color commentator. He is definitely a step and a cut above previous players that they've had try to do the sidekick analysis with Glenn Kuiper. I think he's very good at what he does in terms of making the game entertaining. And I can understand, as he said, what people don't like about him. He's just very bombastic personality. that's okay, I think. And I think that's something that baseball kind of needs right now. He has the ties to the team and the history to the team that gives him that gravitas that true A's fans will appreciate.
There are really good parallels between the way Braden calls games and the way that Hawk Harrelson used to call games for the White Sox. Now, it's not a direct comparison. What I'm talking about specifically is the passion and the emotion in which Braden and Harrelson both conveyed when they were calling these games. I mean, if you look at Braden on the field during some of these things that the A's have done recently, he's going out of his mind. And Harrelson did the same thing, and that can rub some fans the wrong way.
And that's trouble. This ball game is over. What job?
Oh, what are you doing? He threw him out of the ball game. You gotta be beeping me. What in the hell are you doing? What are you doing, Wagner? That ball hit hard. Get over his head. Way back. He looks up. You can put it on the board. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, you're talking to a guy who's not a huge fan of Hawk Harrelson and what he does, but he's absolutely perfect for that market, right? Chicago is just that kind of town. They love their announcers being team first. Guys like Harry Carey, they thrive in that town. As far as Dallas is concerned, I absolutely have no problem with the way he calls games. He says things that sound very out there.
The big, strong ox over at first base, Matty O. They're trying to elevate with a fastball. And we talk about it time and time again, and we know it out here in the Bay Area. Fastballs in real estate, location, location, location.
He ended up right near the entrance of the dugout.
Guys, I was clearing space in my lap over here for him. This is unbelievable. Matt Chapman, a.k.a. Captain America, with the backhand bonanza all the way into the dugout, as you mentioned. Could get a load of this. Well, speaking of uncharted waters, Marcus Semien is going to plot a course that takes this baseball to you-know-where, Kyle. Next stop, Pound Town. Marcus Semien, we know about the power potential. You give this man a mistake over the heart of the plate, and he's going to make it pay.
Now, this is coming from a guy who is truly appreciative and loves the work that Ray Fosse does. And I myself would not do a total replacement of Ray Fosse by any means.
I should have started off this topic saying that Ray Fosse is one of the voices of Oakland. He is a legend. He always will be. I love listening to Ray Fosse.
Fanatic, you're the best. You're the best. You're the best. How come you're not getting wet? Oh, Philly cheesesteak. Oh, my goodness.
Oh, man.
Wow. Are you going to have one or just us? Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, Fanatic, you're the best.
Why do I don't think he's done yet?
Is there a game going on? Why are you doing this to me? What are you doing, Fanatic? It's a hot dog. No, chili, cheesesteak. Cheesesteak hat. I get to keep this? All right. Thank you, buddy. This is great.
Ball's hit pretty well to left field. You can chalk out number 21 for Canseco. He hit it out of here. And the big guy from Florida has just struck again. Man, did he hit that baseball. As soon as he hit it, like most of those guys who do that, he had the feel and he went into the slow trot.
Marty, I'll be very honest with you. A little technical work going on up here, and I was just moving some things. I didn't see this.
You didn't see it.
No, but you know what? I heard it. I heard. That's what I'm saying. You could hear the crack of the bat. I knew it was gone just by that crack of the bat. That's how hard he hit it. And now I get to see it on the replay.
ball in on him. He tied him up as always. Just not able to extend his arm. That's right. But you don't have to worry about that. You have a guy throwing this hard in the 90s, and you tap a swing like that on it. You see him not able to extend his arms, but yeah, I knew it was gone.
But in the event Fosse hangs up his mic, I think it would hurt the team in the long run not to pick up on Dallas Braden.
Dallas, everybody in baseball is happy for you when you accomplish something like that, and fewer than 20 people have done it in the history of the game. That must make you feel pretty good. We have your top 10 list tonight, thoughts that went through your mind while you were throwing that perfect game. If you're ready, I'm ready.
Yes, sir. Let's do it.
Here we go. Number 10.
Grandma's right. Stick it, A-Rod.
Yeah, there you go. Good for Grandma.
We've made it to the halfway point of the show, and that means it's time for the A's ad break.
The man who'd rather drive a truck than a car. His name is Catfish Hunter. He almost never drives a car because the four-wheel drive in his Dodge truck takes him all the places he wants to go. And because when he's after game, he needs room for a lot of game and room for his friends to ride in comfort. That's why Catfish Hunter would rather drive a truck.
The man who'd rather drive a truck than a car would rather drive a Dodge.
A's manager Billy Martin grew up right here in West Berkeley. Mr. and Mrs. Ed Sims remember.
Billy was a good boy, a quiet boy. He stayed out of trouble. He was a shy child who was polite to everybody. I remember he used
Mother, don't remember too good anymore.
We have to talk about what's been going on with the A's recently, and as great as we started the show off, it got equally as bad because they have managed to find every conceivable way to lose a game. Either the offense is hot and the starting pitching is hot and then the bullpen can't do anything, or on the off chance the bullpen is good but the bats aren't there. It's entirely frustrating as an A's fan right now.
And it's a little bit low. Ledley can't believe it. And Bob Melvin is all over DJ Rayburn. I think he missed it.
Well, and he can see, and he might have been fooled because it was a cutter. And he might have been fooled because Bob Melvin can see the height. Oh, man, that's a strike.
They just went through that period where they just could not buy a win. And you're right, they lost in every conceivable way. For me, the most disturbing thing is the bullpen, which was such a strength last year, for it to go through the struggles that they have been early in the season. Kind of concerning to me. Soria has not been the pitcher that was advertised that he's supposed to be, and
it's not even struggles, Mike. This is it's awful.
Yeah. And he went through a period where he pitched okay, but then when in certain games where you really needed him to be out there, he'll give up just the worst possible hit imaginable.
I mean, it's one thing to just make a bad pitch. Okay, you get rocked. A guy hits it 450 feet or whatever. But they're losing multiple. They're up by 4 runs in the 8th and 9th inning, and they're getting beaten.
That's just the worst kind of loss because, going to the season, right? I mean, what was everybody's concern? Oh, the starting rotation. And you're right, it's still a concern. But when you're thinking coming into the season that you don't have to worry so much about the bullpen, and this is going on, this is really alarming. The offense is still kind of in and out. We know they have the capability to really put runs up on the board. They hit 3, 4, 5 home runs with regularity.
I mean, we knew we have it in there. You're going to go through some lulls during the season, and for us, it kind of stands out because we've been known to hit some homers and put some runs on the board.
But again, when it comes down to it, you need to get those last 3 outs, last 6 outs of the game, and if that's not happening, I don't care how many home runs they're hitting.
Well, Trinan has not been Trinan either. Trinan, his pitches are so up. Most players in today's game, if you throw up, you can throw 101 miles an hour. If you get it up, you're going to get hit. Most of his pitches that he's been rocked on have been up in the zone. Blake Trinan lives and breathes from the middle down. You need that sinker to start down and then fall off the table, and you make the hitters look foolish. He's been better lately, but it's still, it makes you a little bit nervous as a fan.
To be fair to Blake, last season for a reliever is one of the best seasons that ever been on record. Just expecting him to duplicate that season is a big ask. But you're right. We still expect him to get the outs, whether it's, at the very least, don't lose 2-run leads, 3-run leads. I'm not even going to mention Fernando Rodney at this point, but maybe I'll let you expound on that a little bit.
Well, look, I'll tell you one thing about Fernando Rodney. I will always hate Fernando Rodney, and the reason I will always hate Fernando Rodney is because he was the one who completely destroyed a little kid's birthday party with one of his arrows.
And it's over. Fernando Rodney shoots that arrow into the sky.
Where do you think this one's going?
It doesn't go anywhere. It's not real. It's an air arrow.
No, bro. It's real.
I don't think that really, even in the most optimistic of viewpoints, that we were expecting the A's to win the division against the Houston Astros. I think we were kind of just wanted them to win a bunch of games and put themselves in contention for the wild card.
I wanted them to make Houston sweat. If they could, because they did it last year. If they could hang around and just let Houston know they're there, even if they're 4 games back or 5 games back or whatever, just to kind of put it in the back of the Astros' mind to where, hey, these A's, they're not going away. Last year wasn't a fluke, but they're still there, and they need one piece here, one piece there, and then you're going to have trouble.
I think that's what everybody was hoping for. Just be out there, be competitive.
Man, oh man, that ball travels and out it goes. Wow. Matt Olson reaches the seats. Opposite field, left on left. His 3rd home run of the year. That was quite a clout, and it's 9-0 Oakland.
And there have been some surprises for the A's so far this season, and 2 of those particular surprises are what Josh Fegley and what Frankie Montas has done.
Once he would speed us up, with his fastball, then he would go to that, whatever you call it, the change or split, whatever you want to call it. And it really gave us trouble, especially when we'd get runners in scoring position, because that's when he'd go to it more. He starts pitching backwards, and that gave us a really tough time.
And Montas has just been a monster so far this season. 7 quality starts is right up there with the best of the best in Major League Baseball. I mean, the guy is just taking that starter role, and he's really run with it, and so far so good. I hope it continues. And Fegley's been pretty decent behind the plate. He's pretty good with the bat right now. He's up there with the RBI leaders for the American League for catchers. Of course, 8 RBIs in one game and 4 in another. That'll do it to you.
That's right. 7 RBIs, folks. Maybe 8. And that baby's gone. A night to remember for Fegley in Pittsburgh.
How quickly things can change in this crazy game of baseball. The A's are now on a 9-game winning streak. It should be 10, but because of that phantom rain delay in Detroit, I'm just going to call it a 9.5-game winning streak.
Yeah, Mike Winters, the crew chief, immediately said, bring him out. And here comes the Tigers grounds crew. I think the A's right now are going, why did he call it so quickly? Because he knows what's coming. Bob Melvin probably wants some type of explanation, because he doesn't think it's raining all that hard right now.
But rain or no rain, the A's are playing exceptional baseball right now, and hopefully they can take this momentum into the Astros series and beyond into the summer and provide some great baseball at the Coliseum. So now let's take a little trip into the Wayback Machine, and let's revisit 1991. For the viewers who are new, Mike and I both grew up in the Bash Brothers era, so a lot of these childhood memories are going to be based upon that time frame. It's late August. The A's have had an awful 1991 season, tremendous letdown after the World Series appearance in 1990. We were sitting up in the bleachers, and it was a back and forth game. In the 8th inning, bottom of the 8th, Canseco comes up, gets a hole in one, ties the game. A few innings later, which felt like it had to be past midnight anyway, McGuire comes up. He sends one into the left field bleachers, and everybody goes home happy.
Instead, a shot, and it's going to go to tie it up. Canseco ties the game and ties Cecil Fielder.
All of those fans who held back from visiting the restroom or got out of line at the concession stand to watch Jose Canseco swing weren't disappointed this time. Gakler got ahead of Canseco with a couple of sliders. This time hung a slider. Canseco was there to hit it. Drove it down the left field line like a bullet. Ties this ball game. Yes, he did hang that slider. And no matter what direction you see it, whether it's from center field or on the right field side, that ball is gone.
1-2 the count, 2 outs. And a bomb! It's gone! And the A's win!
It certainly figures that when these two teams get together, there's going to be a lot of balls hit for home runs. We weren't disappointed tonight. And Mark McGuire, an unlikely hero in that he had an 0-2 count, a 1-2 count, got a fastball right over the middle of the plate and knew just what to do with it, a 3-run homer for an Oakland A's win.
Yeah, you're right about that being a great night, and you're right about 1 a.m. too, because if I recall correctly, we missed the last BART train heading out just after midnight, and we were kind of stuck at the Coliseum for a while. Luckily, you and I don't mind being stuck at the Coliseum too much, especially back then when we were younger. It's not so much that game meant something huge in particular postseason-wise or anything. It's just McGuire, who was, at the time for young A's fans, might as well be a superhero with a cape on his back, did exactly what you expected him to and just followed that script in your head when you watch your favorite baseball team, just out of a movie. That home run he hit might as well have hit a bank of lights and took it out, just like The Natural, being just an awesome childhood memory.
Our other top story tonight, the Oakland battle over a new ballpark. It's not a done deal yet, but less than an hour ago, the A's won a key vote on their dream of building a new stadium on a 55-acre site at the Howard Terminal.
I, for one, I just don't understand the opposition to this. The Oakland Athletics are the only major sports team left in the city of Oakland, and people don't seem to realize or care how important that is.
Really a transformative project in a positive way for Oakland and for the Oakland A's to ensure that we're here for many generations to come.
A lot of that is opposition from people that are scared that they might run into a bit more traffic, and to me that's just fear. That is just fear of something new and exciting coming along for the city for once, to step out of the shadow of San Francisco and be something that people want to go to and visit and enjoy.
And we can have a world-class ballpark and world-class seaport at the same time.
The momentum now that the city has with so many new businesses coming up, it being a destination for restaurants, and the name of the city being out in public and being viewed as being much more than just a place where there's homelessness or crime. To have something like that to rally around, to rally the community around, you can't understate that. And to see them progress to this point, and I've seen the votes that the latest vote for the Port of Oakland was a 7-0 unanimous vote, is encouraging to me. Of course, you have to be very cautious that we won't truly celebrate until we see that shovel hit the ground. And I, for one, am looking forward to it.
And on that note, we are out.